thank you guys so much for sitting down with us today. I wanted to just go ahead and get started. If you each want to introduce yourself, tell me your name.
I'm Ripley.
I'm Conn Oleary.
Jason Ellis.
Great, thank you guys so much. So tell me a little bit about the Rec Room and what started this venture.
So we own Cobb and Pen and Good Time in Dixieland, and we had great success with those places, and we were just looking for something else. And as we kind of thought about it, the first idea was a dive bar. But the dive bar has been done in Lakeland and done well. And so what's a different way to expand our footprint in Lakeland and do something new? And I think a lot of us grew up in the arcade scene. We grew up like playing games, going to arcades. I remember I grew up in Kona, Hawaii, and the Fun Factory was the highlight of my year. I went to my birthday, my parents would give me $5, let me go wild. And gaming has eclipsed a lot of the other standards in entertainment as far as music, TV, and movies. So it was really kind of a marriage of both. Like, we know the bar scene, we love playing games, so let's offer something up where we can attract people that want to have just a really cool, fun experience and not only be about drinking. When I think about this, I think about my sister. I can sit at a bar, watch TV, and drink for, however long. In the span of like 5 minutes, she's like, hey, what are we doing? Are we doing karaoke, games, bowling, whatever? Let's go do something. And that, I think, is a sentiment that's prevalent with a lot of people now. And so we wanted to offer that experience here.
That's huge. I think Lakeland right now too is growing, and I know that definitely the community's trying to attract some of like the millennial crowd. So I think places like this, Cobb and Pen, are definitely gaining that traction. And nostalgia with millennials is huge, right?
Yes, absolutely. This whole project really is, Conn and I both really love video games. Ellis, as you can see from the golf game, he'll be at that and basketball the entire time. So we've done bars, we've done restaurants. We want to do something that was a little different. We've all actually done dive bars. We all started in dive bars before we even got into restaurants. So this is definitely a project of passion.
Where did you start the dive bar?
So Conn got out of the Army. Ellis had graduated college and moved up to Athens and was doing the music stuff. And then I'm from Athens, and so we all worked in 2 bars right beside each other, and kind of at some point in time all worked for each other in different bars and different projects. And when it came time to do Cobb and Pen, we reached out to Conn and pretty much started working with all of each other right out the gate.
That's huge. So what brought you to Lakeland, or all of you to Lakeland?
Yeah, we had a business partner who's a dear friend of mine from Lakeland, and he worked up in the Athens scene with us as well, and he and I had always talked about doing a business together. Let's do a bar together, let's do a bar together, we can do a bar together. And he really had the foresight about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, to see that Lakeland was had this kind of burgeoning entrepreneurship underneath, kind of bubbling underneath the surface. And he really saw that and took a couple years to convince us that it was happening, and so that's what brought us to Lakeland for Cobb and Pen, and that, along with let's be a pioneer somewhere, let's be one or two and not one of 30 or 40 that like you would get into in like Tampa or Orlando or something like that. So.
Well, I think something like this is so great because you do have to go to a Tampa or Orlando to get this kind of experience. And it's a haul. I know most of us would like to stay in Lakeland to have fun if we can.
Yeah, I mean, even now, from now to when Cobb and Pen opened, the number of people that are staying in town on the weekends is...
Yeah, I specifically remember one time Conn and I went to Tampa, and it was pre-Cobb and Pen's opening. We ran into a couple at Cigar City, like the brewery, and we told them we're from Lakeland. They're like, we live in Lakeland, we come to Tampa every weekend because there's nothing to do. And we're like, we're about to open Cobb and Pen. They're like, we've heard about y'all, we can't wait. So, yeah.
I think too, being able to, you kind of touched on it, being able to differentiate yourself, right? Because I think Lakeland's a lot of chains, a lot of what's familiar, a lot of what people already know, but I think there's also that sense of community, and people love to support local businesses here. So Lakeland is probably prime real estate for something like this.
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of experienced that, and like, there's a place here for your personality to come to the fore. I mean, I think the perfect example of that is Marcos at 9061. I mean, he walks into a room and he is the focal point, and people love that interaction. So what we're trying to offer here too is a place to come and meet the owners. You know, where we're missing a couple of them here. Barrett Hollis can't be here, but he's been kind of an amazing partner for us. He's, you know, born and bred in Lakeland. But people can come here, shake his hand, and experience kind of his bar, our bar, where it isn't a Dave and Buster's where it's a faithless corporation. You are dealing with, you know, locals, and that's the people we employ are all from Lakeland, and so it really resonates with Lakeland, and they're very loyal. And that's what we've come to see with all the business we opened, is that you do it the right way, they come back, they will keep coming back. And it's been, since the whole COVID started, it's been super encouraging to see that kind of feedback from the community. You know, they haven't, you know, abandoned us to just go to the chain restaurants. They've really kind of, you know, kept us afloat.
Yeah, that's huge. How much of what you guys had planned for the rec room, opening dates, how much that was impacted by COVID? Any of it?
Well, we were originally.
It's hard to know, really. I think.
I mean, I
think some of it's just construction. Construction is never what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And even though construction was quote unquote never shut down, it was just like
It's slowed down.
Yeah.
Slowed down. Permitting takes longer.
You're doing
Any office or any government office is going to take a little longer.
Yeah, we wanted it open in the spring, and then we had some problems with subs, and just there wasn't a sense of urgency, because when they closed down the bars, like, why rush?
Sure, yeah, because you didn't know.
And then when they closed them down again, it was like, okay, like, you know, why rush? So it was a process. This building offered certain challenges as well. This is the Firestone building. It was built in '38, I believe, and then there's an old building. So when you start knocking down walls and doing some construction, you find some stuff that, oh my gosh, it's going to take a lot more work, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a process, but you know, the good thing is like the people that were involved in, Barrett Hollis, us, my parents, like, nobody wavered. No one was like, hey, like, this is too big, you know, this isn't going to work, like, you know. And that was super encouraging from us, because like you see a goal and you go towards it, and that, you know, is kind of what you hope for in partners and people you get involved with.
Yeah, that's huge. It sounds like, again, that sense of community has been like a stronghold for you guys and a real big support system. But having, you know, other businesses and being entrepreneurs, how much of your experience have you been able to kind of lean on to stay so calm during all of this pandemic craziness? Because I imagine other business owners are frantic, and you guys seem chill.
Especially with restaurants, definitely with bars too, but especially with restaurants, something's on fire all the time.
Sure.
Whether it be a 2 a.m. phone call because somebody didn't lock a door and a neighbor walked by and happened to pull on it,
or something's actually on fire.
To literally a kitchen on fire last summer. Like, you have to be ready for any and all phone calls. Panicking doesn't really do anything good. You can stress as much as you want, but like, it doesn't really help anything. At some point in time, you just have to wake up and get it done anyways. So.
Absolutely.
We do.
We've all done this before. I mean, we're pretty multivariate as far as like food, bev, restaurants, bars, and stuff like that. The things that are out of our control, we can't control. So we only control what we can, and that's been kind of our focus is COVID, shutdowns, whatever. We can't do anything about that. So let's just do the best of our abilities to do the things we can, and, you know, just see how it goes.
Very good.
Yeah, and we've all done it the wrong way a ton of times.
We've learned a lot on our dime, but we've also learned a lot on other people's. So let's, you know, try and put the corrections into place.
Yeah, not make the same mistakes twice. I hear that.
Or 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, you know. What advice would you all give to new business owners, people entering the entrepreneurial world for the first time? I want each of you to answer. I'm sure it's different.
Go
I would
ahead.
say just have an identity. Like, know what you want to do, get focused on it, and do it. Like, when we opened Cobb and Pen, we kind of opened without an identity. Like, hey, we'll just open, people come in, they'll figure us out. And that, like, we talk about mistakes, that was a big mistake, because people walked in like, nah, not for me, you know? Have an identity, have a goal, have a vision, promote that vision to the people. If they want to come, they're going to come. If they don't want to come, you can't control that. So I would just say, like, and do something you like. You know, don't do something that your parents forced you into, or you feel that you got kind of like, you know, this is what I've been doing for a long time, this is what I want to do in the future. Like, do something you enjoy doing, enjoy coming to work. You know, and I think we really enjoy the people that we work with. We foster kind of a family atmosphere here in the places that we run. So it's a pleasure to come in and see the people you work with.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ellis?
Well, you took at least
Yeah.
one
He
of
threw a
the-
few in there, yeah.
one of the two that I was thinking about. I was thinking about branding
Yeah.
and enjoyment, doing what you love. But this is going to sound ridiculous, but like, just be ready for it to cost 2 or 3 or 4 times more than you think it's
Sure.
going to. And even
You
if,
can tell who does the books.
even if half of that is I'm open, but we're not making it, but
Yeah.
you don't want to give up in 6 months, you want to try it, like,
Well, and maybe he can expand on this a little bit more. Like, he does do a lot of the books here. So, like, have a spreadsheet, have your costing out, have your business model set where you don't come in and you're like, it costs how much? This how much? Like, know how much to charge. And he's been amazing for us where we don't just come in and like just throw numbers out. Like, he's like, hey, like, this is what we pay for it. This is what we should, to pay for rent, utilities, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm finding in speaking with other business owners in the Lakeland community that it usually is a meeting of the minds of a sort. It's either like a group of people or it's a couple, and everyone brings their own kind of unique, angle or perspective or skill that makes
I
it
think
successful.
leaning on local friends that are good. Like when we were kind of struggling the first 6 months at Cobb and Penn, Glenn and Ashley Scarpa from Scarpa's were like so great to us and like talked to us a lot about their experience when he took over Mario's and made it Scarpa's. It was his dad's, but he was like, well, I'm going to mix it up and do my thing, and it didn't take. And then so they went back to some stuff, and he really helped us. They both really helped us a ton. I think, not viewing local businesses as competition and viewing them much more as like comrades or
support
yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
to grow with is super positive.
For me, I would definitely go back to what Conn mentioned. You better love what you do. We do. I knew when I was in high school I wanted to do bars and restaurants. I remember my high school counselor going, "What's your second option?" And I was like, "I don't want one. That's what I want to do." Know what you want to do it wholeheartedly, and then know that it's going to be harder work than you realize. But it's worth it.
Absolutely.
It's definitely worth it.
I have a friend who is in like the music entertainment industry, and we had advisors and counselors growing up that would always ask him, well, what's your plan B? And he always said, anyone who makes it doesn't have a plan B, because you put your heart and soul into your plan
absolutely.
A. Because if you do things knowing, if this doesn't work out, I have my plan B, you can't do things that way. You got to put 100% of yourself into it. Do you guys manage multiple businesses? How do you juggle that workload, work life, personal life?
So something I definitely feel like we've learned, whether it be in our projects or projects we've done with other people, is really letting people do what they're good at. Conn is great with operations. He's great with the team. He's great putting in hours and really being the leader with boots on the ground. Ellis is great with that. He's also way more organized than the two of us. And he's really good with the math stuff. He's also
great at math.
great at math, but also like a great marketer too. So like anytime I'm doing any of the social media stuff, I'll throw, whether it be a campaign idea his way or whatever, and I'll get about 100 responses back in about 2 hours.
So you're right-brained and left-brained. That's
A little bit,
unheard of.
Yeah, it's good and bad, but yeah, a little bit.
That's a blessing. I am right-brained to the nth degree. I can't do math.
Well, he's allowed to respond on social media. I am not. He is like super diplomatic.
Also not very PC.
Yeah. Also just very like, hey, like, what can we do for you? Where I'm like, man, like, this person can never come back, and I was fine with that. And he's like, oh, hold on.
Customer's always right, remember?
Yeah, that's. Yes. I would
Off
also
the
say, like,
record.
just we've known each other for a long time, but like, always be open. Like, we get our hurdles when we like get some when maybe we don't agree, but I would say in the sense like nothing is, unless it's like a make or break thing, nothing can be talked out. And so as we've kind of going along, like we've known each other since like 2004. We just met Barrett last year. And it's been awesome to kind of get a like-minded individual that does kind of go with the flow. And as far as kind of like managing everything, my mother is super involved in this part as one of the partners, and she's been amazing to be like kind of the matriarch overseeing things about bills and like, hey, like this bill is due, like, hey, like what are we paying for this?
Don't forget to wear a jacket. Mom thing.
I just feel like I'm super underdressed.
Kind of a few mom things.
I miss that
I'm the mom of my friend group. That's something that I would be the one telling everyone, don't forget to go to bed on time today, okay?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, and you want to work with people that you want to work with,
Yeah.
you know, and so if someone doesn't agree, that doesn't mean like they think your idea is bad. They just have a different opinion. So just talk it through, you know, and sometimes you might get a different viewpoint that you didn't realize.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, and we've never really come to this, but I mean, there might be a time, hey, you got to vote. And if you're outvoted, like, hey, it's not the end of the world. Because the biggest thing should be is like moving the business forward.
Yeah, and that's what we always end up saying at some point in time. If we're ever trying to come up with the conclusion of whatever situation we're in, it's everybody's trying to get the business in in a better position, whether it be a cocktail we're putting on the menu to the way we're closing down the bar at night. Everybody wants the business to be better. So.
Sure. I think, keeping that in mind, if you're ever, running into conflict with a business partner, remembering you guys have the same end goal in mind, and instead of, if you have two completely, totally separate ideas, maybe not arguing for each other's side, but let's come up with a new idea that we both really like.
Yeah, and
it's also like a blessing too, so we hang out outside of work, you know, so when you can come and work with people that you genuinely love and you get along with outside of just a work environment, it makes everything easier because you have to deal with them outside of work.
Yeah.
So there's no really politics. There's no like, well, Ripley said this or like Ellis said this, because they're squashing that, and that to me is great, where you don't have these little cliques that form or like one side against this other side. And that's been, I think our biggest strength is, hey, like, what can we do to make this better, and then compromising to get to that goal.
Yeah, that's huge. What would you guys say is the best part of being a business owner?
freedom.
Not having a boss.
That seems to be the common denominator.
If you're a little hungover, it's okay if you sleep in the next day.
We'll just give you a little extra while.
As long as Wendy's not here waiting on us. Wendy's Conn's mom.
I mean, I've worked for people that I considered more stupid than I am, and it's hard. Where you just got to bite your tongue and be like, well, it's not going to work, but.
But I'll let you learn your way. Yeah.
Because if we fail, it's because of it's on us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's the biggest thing, is just the freedom to do what you want to do. And honestly, like, and this kind of goes back to what he says, like, we don't have to play the corporate game. Mm-hmm. If we're a little bit less PC or we're doing our things our own way, there's not some HR firm that's like, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
We'll take the repercussions if we screw up, but we have the freedom to screw up if we need to.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Yeah.
What about cons? Any major, hurdles? Something that maybe deterred you? Cons? Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe, kind of putting yourself back in the shoes of a new business owner. What were some of the more...
Communicating, I think.
We'll call them detractors.
I would say communicating.
You really have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And we've definitely gone through several phases of terrible communication and great communication, and then kind of having to communicate about how we need to communicate with each other.
I mean, seriously.
I understand and he understands, and
we owned a restaurant years ago with a group. It was a big group of people. All of us were all over the place, and the meetings, we would sit there for 3 or 4 hours, not a decision would be made, and we'd walk out pulling our hairs out because two owners were so far on opposite ends of the spectrum on every single, it was like Biden versus Trump. If one said something, the other one was like, whoa, I think the other thing. What are you doing? We're partners. But it would just, every meeting would be like that. And so we learned, okay, whatever we do moving forward, we're never gonna be like those guys.
Yeah, yep.
So I would say the biggest con is it's not just a job.
Mm-hmm.
Just a job you can show up, you can clock out, don't care about what happens after you leave.
Right.
If stuff starts on fire, man, whatever, it's not mine, it's ours.
Yeah.
So when you're done, you're not done. I have a huge problem, Cobb and Penn, I'm gonna have a huge problem here that I can't relax in my own space. Which is the major con, because I don't enjoy Cobb and Penn when it's busy.
Right.
I have to look hey, is that person been served? Are the bartenders doing their job? And it becomes, and I wish I could divorce myself from that kind of neurotic, super attention, but
that's you good at what you do, though.
Yeah.
But that's
we care.
a major con. When I see people that can do that, I'm like, oh my God, I want that.
But I think that those people are probably just on the outside. They look like they can do that. I bet if you ask those people, hey, are you relaxed in your own business? They're probably like, heck no,
Or
I'm
they're
just
just
really good at
terrible
faking
at
it.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you see that business fold in a year and a half because
Also that.
they're drinking up all the profits.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's my biggest con is like it becomes sometimes bigger than yourself where you built this thing and you want to enjoy it, but because you've put so much time and effort day to day in that you can't sit down and relax.
Yeah.
I specifically wanted to go to Cobb and Penn the other night, and I looked at the numbers, and I was like, I'm not going in there right now.
Sad.
I was like, it looks kind of busy. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it.
This looks like
I
I'm
went
having
to
a good
Chili's.
time.
I went to Chili's and sat at the bar with like 4 people in the whole place, and it was fantastic.
And you probably enjoyed your 2-for-1.
Oh, I didn't know they did that because I never go to places like that much, except in that situation. And I got one, and she brought me. And I was like, I don't want another one. I'm good. And she was like, oh,
No, that's like what we do
the
here.
thing. And
That's
I was
funny.
like,
Well,
Right.
Barrett's kind of said the same thing as like I was always like my eyes were moving, always moving, and I've been in confidence. It's gonna be the same thing here. Well, I'll be with somebody,
but you're not
like,
with them.
like my girlfriend, and she'll be
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
like, hey, like, are you good? I'm like, no, I'm not good. You want to go somewhere else? Like, yes, I want to go somewhere else. You know, because I'm not hanging out. I'm working in my head.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm half listening, half like, oh, I'm gonna go serve that person, or watching people maybe not do the right thing, or it's just you can't really switch it off, and I wish I could.
I always struggle too with remembering that no one cares about this place as much as I do.
Bam. It's a big one.
Like, and it's like I'm gonna go rip this employee's head off, and then I'm like, he doesn't care if he mopped up that spot on the floor behind the couch
Yeah.
that no one ever sees, and I'm like,
They start throwing equipment around. You're like, oh my god,
That's my floor. That's my. Oh, that chair was $128. Please stop doing
how
that.
do we? How can we not throw away 24 knives, metal knives?
Oh my gosh.
How do those even end up in the trash?
Yeah, nobody will
Whatever, it's like
ever
you have
care
to
about your
remember
business
that,
like you do.
I think it goes back
No
to that
one's ever gonna
accountability
care.
piece. Like
Yeah.
you guys, I mean, that was a pro before, right? Where,
Yeah.
you know, there's no one else checking up on you. There's no one else telling you what to do. And it's your place. So whatever you do. But at that same time, you have to check yourself every
Yeah.
once in a while
You have to
because
remember.
there's no one else checking on you.
But you can't,
Absolutely.
You can't help yourself by treating your employees right. You can like get them invested in. It's not ownership, but it is kind of ownership. Hey, this is my spot. Like I helped build it, you know. And so
Yeah.
by treating them right, creating a family atmosphere, having an open door policy, you know, not being a tyrant, you get them to buy in a little bit. But kind of like what he said, like it is what it is. Like this thing is ours, and so we see stuff. Certain people like, you know, throwing stuff around or not doing it the right way. You just have to take a second and breathe and be like, hey, for them it's a job. For us, it's our livelihood.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, like if you get the right people and you treat them the right way, they will take care of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have me very intrigued. I work in HR, I work in consulting, so now I'm going to ask you a very HR question. This may get edited out later.
Nice. I like
owning,
this.
Owning multiple businesses and knowing each of those businesses has its own brand, right? You're selling a different product, you're doing something different in each place. What are some of the similarities and differences in like hiring decisions you guys make for those people who are representing each brand?
So for Rec Room specifically, you know, we've gone through the kind of the hiring realm of Lakeland's a little bit harder to hire. I mean, we're not Tampa or Orlando. We don't have that massive pool of people. It's a little bit different in Athens where they have a massive group of young adults that sometimes have a lot of time on their hands. They can rotate through somebody. So at Cobb and Penn, we kind of hired for personality. Here we've tried to hire a little bit more for experience.
Okay.
And then during the interview process, like, hey, like, how do we get along? You know, it is more of a struggle here just because we're smaller. You know, and so there is going to be more effort on the front end of like training. You know, putting systems in place where there's not a lot of guesswork. You know, and we have that experience where we can have, you know, build that pipeline so we open up, you know, year 1, year 2, year 3, like we're promoting from within, we're hiring at the bottom level, and then there's no guesswork. One of the biggest kind of headaches we've ever had is when we've gone outside of our family, so to speak, and hired, and it was an unknown, and I mean, honestly, like it doesn't really work out, you know. So hiring from within, from a known quality, the person you know is I think is way better.
Yeah. You're not taking any bets, any chances.
Yeah, I definitely would say it's definitely different between Lakeland and Athens. Not in a bad way either way. We do have 35,000 college kids coming and going, but Yeah, I would just say the moment we start interviewing, it's definitely like Conn was saying, it's do we click? Do I think you're going to have the work ethic you're telling me you're going to have? Yeah. After week 4, are you still going to have the same communication that we have going on, or is it going to be are you going to be a little different, and is your interview just really good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think too. I don't think it's something that we get into that much, but kind of thank God for social media now, because you can stalk someone and you can be like,
find everything you
nope.
need to know about them.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, check this out. Nope.
Yeah.
Or okay,
Yeah, well, and again, like being business owners, this is your place. You don't want to put you don't want to hire someone who is representing your brand and putting you guys in a negative light. So those are
Going back to the pipeline thing, so our bar manager, kind of in trainee general manager, is Olivia Lewandowski from Cobb & Penn. So we used our other business to kind of feed this business. At Cobb & Penn, our general manager is Shelby. Shelby started as a server with no experience whatsoever. And through kind of the work ethic and the initiative she showed, she became pretty much de facto in charge. I mean, she runs that place like the back of her hand.
That's awesome.
But when you have that pipeline in place, you can develop and groom people to take leadership positions because there's no guesswork. They've run it the entire way, server, barback, general manager, assistant, whatever it is. And they have the experience to complete those positions.
Well, and a funny thing that made me think of it that I think falls in line with your question is we did use Cobb & Penn for that, but we had to shut down real fast the Rec Room's a shiny new toy, and every Cobb & Penn employee being like, I want the shiny new toy. And we're like, sorry. Like, we can't do that to Shelby, the people that have worked really hard to hire you and keep you here and do this. We can't take that away from them and then cannibalize like that business and make it change. We had to be very like, nope, time for new people here, new people there.
It would have been fair to Cobb & Penn either. It was like, hey, now the emphasis shifts to Rec Room. Well, let's not shift the emphasis at all. Cobb & Penn can be its own amazing thing. Good time. Rec Room can be its own amazing thing. There shouldn't be a reason why we have to kind of like destroy one thing to build another.
I think too, your regulars get to know the people that work at those businesses. And I mean, businesses that I visit regularly, I notice when my hostess or my server that always gives me the best service ever is gone.
That's why you go back.
That's why I go back. It's that
We don't
experience.
have a lot of turnover at Cobb & Penn, but there's been 2 or 3 that have moved, left because they've moved states and stuff like that, and people miss them a ton.
Talk to me about how you guys picked this location. Obviously, Lakeland's pretty big.
So it was, like I said, as we kind of wanted to progress, we were looking around, and it was, no sense of urgency. We were like, hey, let's find the right spot. We fell into Cobb & Penn. It was honestly a gift from God, and so we took our time.
After quite a few contracts fell through on Cobb & Penn. We actually signed 2 leases.
We almost signed one lease. We did sign another lease.
And I mean, it was a 2-year project before we even got into the building.
Wow.
So I'm sure you're about to say this, Corey Petkoff owns this building. We originally were talking to Corey Petkoff for Cobb & Penn 6 years
He had
ago.
us in the bank building behind Wells Fargo downtown. It's been empty since the 70s.
We had signed a contract and we're supposed to go in there for Cobb & Penn.
What happens at that point?
So after we had signed a contract and we're getting architect.
That shall remain nameless.
We'll say it. Can you edit this out? Bank that was right behind
He's great. He's a master.
We'll call it Smells Fargo.
Smells Fargo. Totally found a contract that they had it with with Corey or the city.
There's some fine print with they have first right of refusal to whoever is connected to their building or something.
And there's a stairwell connecting the 2 buildings.
Oh, no.
Literally would have had nothing to say.
We were in a meeting with the city on plumbing to approve redoing the plumbing that would interfere with the street on traffic on South Florida, and it was like out of a movie. Like someone comes walking in and shuts it down.
Man,
I believe it's still, that building is still empty.
Smells Fargo.
I've heard rumors that there's some moves being made on it, but
I hope so. It's a cool building.
It's a great building. It's red. I mean, it's a.
But all of that led to quite literally falling ass backwards into the Tudor house, which how could you imagine a better space?
But for
than
real though, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
How could you even
I
think
mean,
about that?
You couldn't, yeah.
And I think that happened here. We looked at 2 or 3 places and we were like, we found some places, we made it work. I feel like we made it work in our heads.
Right.
We weren't excited about it. We were like, this
Yeah.
can work here.
Yeah,
You know,
and
this can work here.
actually, Corey is our landlord at Good Time, and we were in the process of building that out, and he called me one day and was like, hey, so I heard a rumor, and I kind of thought it was something else. I thought I screwed up. Like, I don't know. I don't remember what happened, but I was like, oh, I'm going to get called out for something, and like, I shouldn't have done. It's disrespectful or something like that. And he was like, I might be closing on this building next week. That'd be 5,000 square feet, perfect for an arcade. I heard you guys were thinking about that. I thought he was upset that we were trying to open multiple businesses at once and it would detract from focusing on the business at his property or something like that. And it was the exact opposite. It was like, have I got the space for you?
Yeah.
That's great.
Like, again, like, how could we have ever
Yeah.
imagined a better,
A better landlord. I mean, Corey is
all
great.
very serendipitous.
next to the landlords we already have at Common.
Yeah.
It's like
Gregory and Corey have been great.
And
Well, and when
and
we
then-
first came in here, you look at what it was and what it turned into now. You're like, but you could see the potential. You know, the place we were looking at before, like, we could have made it work.
Yeah,
it
but it
would
was-
have. It'd have been like.
it was a lot of
galvanized,
conversations
yeah.
like that. Well, we can do this
Right,
this way.
yeah.
Or we could flip flop this and figure it out. And this was like,
You immediately came in like, oh my God, this could work. You know, and you could see the energy in the room when we walked in here. I remember when I first came to Lakeland in 2016, I drove by this and like, oh man, that's really cool. What is that? You know, and then putting a retail space in this spot with, you know, the history of the building, I mean, I assume it was a no-brainer. And it was great for downtown.
Yeah,
to-
downtown's a hot spot.
Right.
Everything coming up around here. I mean, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
We're literally going to be in line with the joinery, Catapult,
They're building
downtown.
those apartment complexes over here behind the
it
joinery.
really is like a gate.
Over here.
It
Right,
really is.
yeah.
I'm geographically challenged.
Oh, me too. I'm terrible.
Really bad.
Somewhere around
I
here.
never know which way is north. It's just always in front of me. This
And
is
it's
north. This is
terrible
north.
around here
this is
because
north.
everything's so circular with the
Yes.
lakes. And I grew up like gridded out
Yeah.
by the beach where everything is like, and you can, oh, where's the water? The water, ocean's that way.
Yeah,
Ocean's
you
that way.
always
And I
know.
can't do that here. I moved to Athens, I can't do that there. And I'm like,
My internal
turned around
compass is very bad.
Always. But a really good gateway, a bridge gateway that like really can hopefully connect. You know, Lakeland businesses with other Lakeland businesses. You know.
I think that's what we want to also promote is like, we're not trying to take anybody's business.
Yeah.
You know, like we kind of, it's just like Dixieland, like a rising tide, hopefully floats all boats. So the more people downtown is the more people for Revival, Molly's, Linksters, 961, Joinery, Escape Room, whatever. Like now you can go downtown and make a night of it.
Yeah.
You know, and so hopefully we're welcome with open arms to the downtown community because like we're trying to help it.
Yeah,
you know?
no doubt. I mean, everyone I've spoken with is so excited because Lakeland doesn't have anything like this.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you a very broad question, and you can answer it in whichever way you like. And I want to take out the literal things like money and time. What does it take for someone to open their own business?
A lot of grit. A lot of grit. Whether it be dealing with the city, not here, Corey. Not here, Corey. Dealing with landlords. That could be very stressful. Some of our other places we've had not very good landlords. So actually when COVID hit, our landlords in Florida have been amazing. And I can just tell you that helps a lot.
And from the get-go, there's so many landlords in Lakeland that want to see Lakeland become that thing
Yes.
that it started to become 10 years ago, or maybe 15 or 20 years ago. Who
Yeah.
knows? But you know, like they want to work with you on rent. They want to do. You know what I mean? Like
They give you the TI dollars you need, or you know, they know that if your business is there and successful, they have a long contract
Yeah.
that they can get. Plus, I mean, I think everybody we work with, like Ellis was saying, is very much invested in the city of Lakeland. And so, I mean, I think one of the rumors I always heard, one of the reasons why we even fell into Cobb and Penn's building was Gregory had a cool building and wanted a cool business to be there.
There you go. Well,
And like,
Yeah.
we ended up meeting him and Grant Miller, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
The
we got an idea. We got a building.
The original concept, I think, was three or four different little spaces, like little shops, different entryways.
Oh, okay.
And we walked around the space before, when it was just the original home, 1,800 square feet. And so that big, long main area of Cobb and Penn didn't exist. They were digging out the subflooring for it. We said, well, can we come meet with you guys? And I was in Georgia at the time. We have a business up there. And I made a ton of food. I just threw it in a cooler.
That's right.
Richard bought a bunch of beer and wine and drove all the way down to Lakeland, and we cooked them dinner at Richard's mom's house and drank beers. And luckily had some people help that were on the design side. Actually, Disney Imagineers.
Yeah, that's right.
We somehow were friends with from a business in Orlando, and from Red Light in Orlando, some buddies of ours, and they helped us draw up this like Cobb and Penn rendering and pitched it to them, and we said, well, we want the whole thing.
All of it.
It worked.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would say like a vision with a little bit of a draw, you know. So don't open up a dive bar. Open up a dive bar that specializes in A, B, and C. Or don't open up a business, you know, that you're just gonna like lost in the wash. Open up something that, hey, why should I come to your spot?
Yeah, what makes you different?
Right. You know, and so I think that for someone to open up a business, like have a vision that that you are 100% behind, but tweak it a little bit to make sure that you are differentiating yourself from the crowd.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't be a restaurant with something plus.
Yeah, with that thing you can hang your hat on
Exactly.
and say people come here because
Like
Yeah.
don't open a sandwich shop, open a sandwich shop because of
they're
your
great
way-
mustard.
Right. Something like that.
Right. I was thinking like you can't, like maybe patience with like, you know, like opening in 6 months versus opening. If opening in 6 months versus opening in a year and a half means you have like a fully conceptualized brand,
Do it.
I think you fare way better.
Agreed.
You know? So, yeah. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. When you guys were first opening your own businesses, I've heard the expression, and this may or may not be accurate, but they talk about like, all right, you know, your first year, you're not gonna make a lot of money. You should probably have enough money saved to pay rent for a year with the idea that you made $0 that year.
Right.
You need to have.
That's a stretch.
You might need to have money to put back into the company after a year.
And that, yeah.
I mean,
I know a lot of
that-
business owners
that-
that literally just reinvest the money that they
Absolutely.
We haven't taken a disbursement from Cobb and Penn in 4 years.
Yeah.
So we've thrown it all back in. But and one thing I will say for Richard Sherfy, one of the late partners at Cobb and Penn, he always preached long money. Long money.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you do the work,
Sustainability.
you can reap that benefit year 2 and year 3, year 4, or sorry, like year 3, 4, and 5, you know, as much as you want to, as much as you're in the business. And I think that's indicative of people that want the business to succeed rather than like, hey, I want to make as much money as I can as soon as possible.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
goes back to the patience piece.
Yeah. And I think it depends on the concept. I think for bars and restaurants, 7 or 8 years ago, it used to be have money for year 1, year 2. Then it turned into have money for 2 to 3 years. I think it might be 3 to 5 years now.
I agree.
I hate to say that, but
Yeah.
I really
Wow,
think
and I thought I was being like, it was a
I really
stretch when I
think
said a
it might
year.
Well, I think
And I'm
that-
not saying you can't like break even and stuff,
Yeah.
but it
Right.
really might take that long to.
Well, and hopefully for us with the concept of Rec Room is that we aren't really, you know, reinventing the wheel. It's not like
Right.
restaurant C, restaurant D. It's like it is something kind of new to Lakeland and the downtown scene. I do think, you know, there's hope for us that we can accelerate that process. It's just up to us to present our idea the right way to Lakeland and have, you know, hopefully that response coming back, and then to manage that volume responsibly where, you know, we can sustain this year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. You know?
I think what you said is great too. Like, it's not on Lakeland to like you.
Right.
It's on you to make yourself likable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, when we did start Cobb and Penn, I think there was a little bit of we've been doing this for 15 years, we get it. And I think Lakeland was like, well, you don't get me.
You don't get
Yeah.
Lakeland? That is,
what I mean?
that's a really good point.
And it hurt for a while, like pride and,
Yeah.
I just nailed my microphone. Pride and do you know what I mean? But I think like that was a hard lesson to learn, but I think like learning that lesson is crucial too. Like,
And compromise as much as you want to. Like, don't compromise and lose the vision that you had. I mean, compromise as much as you're willing to get that return. But I mean, I think if you just, bend over every time someone says, well, I want this or this or this, that's one person on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, you lose your identity if you cater
and all of
to
a sudden,
everything
like, you're putting
that.
out fires instead of trying to move forward, like, as a unit. And that's one of the biggest things I've had to learn to do is ignore the negatives on social media, because there are a lot of them.
Social media is like a place for negativity almost.
Right, and it's
feels
hard
like.
because
100%.
you will just skim right past 10 5-star reviews
Yeah.
and focus on the 1 star, and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, like, we need to blow the business up. What do we got to do? And it's like, well, did you see the 10 5-stars in the
Yeah.
beginning? Like,
People
Yeah.
don't want to know why they liked the business. They want to know why they didn't like the business.
Right.
that's 10 persons versus 1 person.
Agreed.
Right.
And so why destroy like your vision, your business model because of the vocal, super vocal, tiny minority? Take the aggregate of the super positives and move forward. But I'll tell you, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to not read those comments and be like, just get super deflated. And I don't think that people that either own their own business or are involved in it realize like how damaging and hurtful those kind of comments are.
Oh, but because
Yeah.
it's your livelihood. Those other people don't.
Well, also, it's
necessarily
like other
understand.
people see those.
Yeah.
And it's like restaurants or bars or whatever are supposed to be infallible. No off nights. No
Yeah.
lapses in service. Nothing can break down. But if you have a bad night, and like I think we are super accommodating to those, but just take a second, and instead of destroying them on social media, because people take those things to heart.
They do.
And they're like, hey, like, that place is awful. It's like,
I
no.
read that. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, maybe it was awful for that person in the span of 15 minutes on that night. But, it's some of those comments get so damaging, and it really takes the wind out of your sails to want to keep doing it. So,
Yeah.
But that's been my biggest thing is just, and that's why I think I'm not going on social media because, like,
You want to just let them have it.
gosh.
So with that being said, that kind of leads me to my next point about marketing and social media. Do you guys like have an allocated budget for marketing? And if so,
Yeah.
is it big? Is it small?
it started off really small.
we did it by ourselves at Cobb, and we quickly realized, like, hey, you can do some of it.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, something I think I mentioned earlier. One of the things we definitely realized is putting the best person in the right area. I probably use social media more than these two, so I tend to do it. But also, like, at some point in time, there's times where like we bring in other companies because I do it because I like being in the know. I'm not great at it. So like we definitely use good people that take better photos than us. We are hiring content creators. We also, one of the things you just have to stay on top of is people use social media to communicate with your business, and it's not always a negative thing, but
Yeah, they want to know, are you going to be open this?
I have 6 Instagrams on my phone,
Yeah.
and like my phone is vibrating all the time. I think one time he and I were at dinner, and he's like, "Dude, I can't look at your phone. It keeps going off." And I'm like, I know. It's keeping all that organized and trying to stay focused on that is a task all in itself. But like, so I mean, whether it be in house,
Yeah.
we also do plenty out of
At
house.
Good time, we're super fortunate. We have this great kid. I say kid, he's literally in his early 20s. He really is. For me, I'm twice his age. But he's amazing. Peyton Schlegel is amazing. But he is passionate. He was like, came to us and was like, I want to make Good Time the best place here. Like, and he meant every word of it. He works so hard, but he gets social media. And he came to me and was like, we should change social media, we should do this,
Yeah.
we should see this, we should do that.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
you people that will love it.
go for it.
Yeah.
And that's when we just said, dude, that's great, go for it, because, and we have that at Cobb and Penn with a girl named Rachel Kilburn that has her own little marketing firm that she runs by herself, and that was great too. Like,
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
it was like we could come up with the ideas, but we could send them to her to post and manage and things like that. And Peyton can kind of run with it and take care of it. And like, I have no personal social media accounts. I missed that. I don't like it. They stress me out.
Yeah.
But I'm so neurotic as a person that, and that's another reason why I don't have them, is I probably check the business accounts 100 times a day because I'm so neurotic. And so I'll respond. I do a lot of the responding because I check every 10 minutes. It's just instinct. It's like pulling out your phone to check the time.
Yep.
I'm just so neurotic about it that if I threw in a personal account on top of that,
There's no way,
I think I would
Then you'd have to protect your personal brand on top of
get
your company
crazy,
brand.
and people would hate me more than they already do,
Yeah.
and it just, but
Well, it's such a double-edged sword. Like, I think social media is horrible, but in the business sense, it's really
You need it.
it's your wheelhouse now. Like,
Yeah.
print, TV, radio, like they're all kind of dinosaurs. It's all
Yeah.
social media. So, if we're talking about like opening your own business and words of wisdom, like if you don't like it, don't get it, don't want to do it, you better get someone that does.
Yeah.
Because in this day and age, like one, it's free for the most part.
Yeah,
But two,
but-
it's really your
mostly.
lifeline, your link to all your customer base. So I'm like Ellis, like I have mine. I hate it, don't check it, whatever. But I realize it is probably, besides product, location, whatever, it is the most important part of running a small business today.
I was thinking about, I remember when we first opened Cobb and Pen and Facebook would rate you on your response time.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Anymore. They don't do that anymore.
That's right.
But they used to be like, well, you haven't responded. You used to respond within 3 hours.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
been
you got a
7
badge.
hours. And it was like, and
Yeah.
it was just like, man, when we first opened Cobb and Pen, I was like, it's been 3 hours. I was like,
Why did somebody
I was
see
like,
this?
Oh my God, what? I'm so glad they don't do that now. It's
Yeah.
like you can respond in 24 to 48 hours and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right. You're
but
right.
I remember they just dawned on me, they used to do that and it used to stress me out.
That's right, I forgot about
Our,
that.
like, Facebook response grade, and I was like, and then at some point I was like, oh my God, why do I care? Like, why is this working me up so
Yeah.
much? Like,
Well, and as much as we, kind of denograte social media, there's so many tools on there to grow your business.
Yeah.
And they have, honestly, from leaps and bounds, like when you talked about, to get to a place where, it's honestly make or break, like how you manage your social media responsibly and to like push your business forward, which as a resource that you don't really have to pay for, like it's invaluable. So
Right.
getting someone that enjoys it, that can navigate it, well, is super important. And if you don't have that, I mean, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
your time this evening. It was
Absolutely.
a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to coming to Rec Room when it opens in a few days here.
Awesome.
yeah.